what is going on, boys and girls of YouTube? Estoy aquí en España. I'm here in Spain and I've been here a week, and a week ago today I had ankle surgery. Boom. Bandages are getting a little bit dirty. I'm about to go to the gym with Ben the Bounce Simons. I'm actually going to be doing a lower body session. Do not fucking tell my doctor. However, there is a reason that I'm going to be doing lower body specifically, and with that I'll explain everything when we get there. Quick piece of nicotine gum and let's get on the road. So, a week ago today, 7 days since I had the surgery. Got my new lifting shoes on. Creme de la creme. I've actually had the last couple of days feeling a lot better, but today, I don't know, it feels a little bit niggly, which is a bit annoying. So again, I said a second ago, I'm doing a lower body session, obviously extraordinarily heavily modified. I'll walk you through what I'm doing and why I think it's an important demonstration of character to kind of keep pushing through in a minute. But luckily, Ben and I are probably the best part of about 150 meters from the gym, and we shall be there in a second. So, cut to me being on the bike talking in the next scene. Okay, so as a brief overview of what I've had done, I had an arthroscopy in my left ankle. Bandages are still on, as you can see. So basically I had kind of 2 incisions going in either side of the ankle to pull out a little bit of a floating bone that has been present probably for about, I had a calcification for about 20 years, but last year, with my lovely, bald, handsome cameraman that's actually holding the camera right now, we were in Canada last year, I had a little tumble down a mountain. And it snapped it off, so I had that removed, and I've actually had an artificial ligament put in. That's why my recovery is a little bit longer. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you guys through today, the orders that I've had, the direction that I've had basically from the doctor is mobilize as much as you can, basically straight from the off. Get a little bit of tissue perfusion, get a little bit of blood flow to keep flushing everything through. And obviously don't do anything too stupid. I'm not supposed to be overly weight bearing, but I do believe an overwhelming majority of people, not you fucking legends, because you watch my channel, which is demonstrable of your elite character, but a lot of Gen Pop and a lot of fat Karens from Starbucks would just be like, well, I just can't do anything. Whereas I'm like, okay, so there are some hurdles in the way and some guidelines, which means I just need to be a little bit more cerebral, a little bit more cognitive, and a little bit more creative with the kind of thing that I do. I don't want to atrophy my leg muscles, I don't want to lose all my strength. So there are still things that I can do. As an example, where the ligament is on the outside of the foot, there's no reason that I can't do a leg extension and leg curl, considering the pad is only going to be making contact kind of at the bottom of the shin, right? So there's absolutely no reason I couldn't do that. So getting some tissue perfusion in my lower body is something that is absolutely still possible. I can still do a little bit of zone 2. I can still be on an exercise bike because it's not that much movement, it's not that weight bearing. So all of these things, I just think I could be really flipping annoyed right now because I've just got to Spain. I can't get in the sea, I can't lift heavy, I can't shoot the lower body explosive content that I want to with, again, my good buddy who's a multiple time Olympian, and we could do so much cool stuff. It is a decision, it is a choice to be looking at things through that lens. The overwhelming sponsoring message, if you take one thing away from today's video, is this: optimism, rational optimism, not blind, rational optimism is a fucking decision. It is not a feeling. I don't necessarily feel amazing about the situation that I'm in. Obviously, I'm slightly debilitated and it's a little bit frustrating, but the fact of the matter is, I have an opportunity to focus a little bit more on upper body training volume. I have the opportunity to focus a little bit more on things like core stability and a couple of holes in my physical game that normally I may not focus on as much when I just want to be a man and flip and lift heavy. And although I am excited about those things, but even though there is that undercurrent of frustration, I am electing to look at this situation through the lens of rational optimism, because optimism is not a feeling, it is a goddamn choice. So I'm going to do another few minutes on the bike, and then I'm going to show you what a heavily modified lower body session can look like. I'm going to get warmed up, and then we'll get cracking. Okay, so as well as obviously muscular strength diminishing, that kind of being a fear, one of the things I also want to make sure of is, as I walk around, I've been told to walk around as much as I can. So there's a certain amount of weight bearing that is obviously advised if you're being told you can flip and walk and mobilize and get a little bit of blood tissue through. Is basically I want to make sure that I'm not continuing to kind of collapse on my hip, because I do a lot of single leg stuff, regardless of the fact that I haven't sprinted properly in kind of a few years. Maintaining that level of balance and symmetry is absolutely crucial. Asymmetry right to left, that in my opinion, not sure if you'd agree with this, Ben, is probably the quickest way you're going to get flipping injured. He's nodding, cameraman is nodding. So mobilizing my feet, mobilizing my ankles, And again, if the way that I'm looking at it, the lens that I'm looking at this through, if I've been told that I can walk around, there's a certain amount of weight-bearing nature that is going to be okay with my left foot. And honestly, the last couple of days, I haven't really had any pain. I'm not even really having any pain today. It feels a little bit tighter, but again, I've got a freaking bandage on it and I've had that for a week. But ensuring that there's even kind of gripping there on the front, it can be a bit sore. I wouldn't even want to do like heavy shoulder press because I'm doubling the amount of weight going through my system if I'm doing like a body weight push press or something. I'm not even going to be doing that, but just having an injury, even if it is your ankle, which is unbelievably crucial in pretty much every flipping thing that you do, you really don't actually have to try that hard to create a program or modify a methodology to make sure that you can still be doing something. Okay, so again, the opportunity, a little bit of single leg stuff, a little bit of balance stuff without too much weight bearing. So obviously I'm not going to put 150 on the back of a flipping bar and put that load through my ankle or my foot. I do genuinely believe that I'm able to do something. So what I'm going to do, some single leg stuff with some kettlebells. I'm going to do some single leg RDL, some kind of arabesque style with the other leg, kicking back. The doctors say effectively use pain as an appropriate signal of whether or not something's going wrong. In 7 days now, I had a couple of painkillers and anti-inflammatories for the first couple of days. I'm not a big fan of taking them consistently, and I haven't taken anything. It's now Friday. I don't think I've taken anything since Tuesday morning, actually, and I feel fine. So if I am getting any pain in my ankle, of course I'll stop. But effectively with this, if I have a slight bend at the knee, kind of soft knee on my left-hand side, when the right leg is going back, even with a kettlebell, 20 kilos in each hand, coming through, if I'm not getting any pain response from that, the chances are then it's completely fine, right? Because the tissues are still going to be a little bit inflamed. So if I can't feel anything, that's golden. So again, as a flipping sponsor and message, I'm not telling you guys to be stupid and ignore what the doctor says or ignore pain. I'm just saying it is a fucking decision to look at this situation and all situations where on the face of it, things might be negative situationally, but to look at it in a positive light and decide to be optimistic and creative with your level of optimism with that. It's kind of section one done, guys. 3 sets of the kettlebell single leg RDLs, some core, a little bit gassed, which again is kind of what I want. I think this sponsoring message of today's video of optimism as a choice is something that can be transferred to other areas of life, job. If you find yourself recently single and you're a bit gutted about it, you can decide to engage in a little bit more personal development work. If work isn't particularly nourishing you, but it's a steady 9 to 5, and you want to really kind of sink your teeth into something, but at least at 5 o'clock it's flipping done, you can look at it through the lens of positivity and think, well, at least I'm not carrying this back and taking it home every evening, which frees up my evenings to do X, Y, and Z, look for a new job, focus a little bit more on something to do with your personal life, etc. So I don't want to invalidate your feelings. I'm not saying that if you're in that position, you're either injured or something's gone wrong with training or blah, blah, blah. Again, anything, business-wise, personal life-wise, relationship-wise. I'm not saying that you're not allowed to feel frustrated. That's unreasonable, irrational, and fucking unrealistic. The fact of the matter is, you don't think I'm frustrated with the fact that this is the situation and I've got this flipping thing and I've got this sweaty bandage that I'm still not allowed to take off for another 3 days. Ben and I are going out for a drink tonight. Of course, my first Friday night in Spain, right? I haven't been in the sea yet, as an example, so I'm allowed to be frustrated about all of these things. I'm not telling you that you are wrong or bad if you feel a certain way and you have a certain completely flipping rational and understandable emotional reaction to a quote unquote on the face of it negative situation, but I'm saying your behavioral response can be separate from your emotions. Of course I feel flipping annoyed about this, right? But the fact of the matter is, I don't have to behave in a way that is consistent with being frustrated and petulant. I am choosing, I am electing, I am making the decision to behave in what I consider a superior way, which is, even though I feel annoyed, I'm deciding to still come in here and focus on things, and I'm deciding to, as a grand narrative, hold that lens of opportunity and rational optimism over my eyes and make decisions accordingly. On to the absolute classics, as you would expect. So we're going to do some leg extension and leg curl. The pad itself is weirdly at an angle. The good thing is that I can make sure the pad is basically on the front of my shin, therefore literally getting in the way of my particular injury in absolutely no way. But what I'm going to do, just to make sure that I maintain balance, again, I'm deciding to look at this as an opportunity to do that. I'm going to do some lighter stuff, and I'm going to do some single leg work, a little bit more controlled in terms of pace. I actually did this the other day, and about 8 reps in on my left leg, which has obviously been injured for quite some time, it was literally shaking like a shitting dog. So let's see whether or not after even one session, it's any better now. I very rarely do like slow controlled reps for quads or hamstrings. I very rarely do these movements anyway. Leg curls a lot more. Actually, I do these a lot more frequently than leg extension, just as some isolated hammy work. I very rarely do slower stability focused reps. I very rarely do single leg, especially on a leg extension. I don't know if I've ever done that. And I very rarely do slow reps with a rep range of kind of anywhere between 10 and 20. So again, it's a chance to do that, round out my game. There's 4 rounds done. One of the reasons I did single leg is I just wanted to see how it felt from right to left, because obviously the right's doing a hell of a lot more work. And right now, just kind of carrying my flipping carcass around. This is going to go a way to identifying how bad any asymmetry may be, and also go some way to rectifying that and balancing it out. So quick sip of water, because it's about 1,000 degrees in here. And then on to the third and final section. Third and final section, 2 movements to finish off. Do some hypers, so a little bit of hip extension. Obviously we did a little bit of single leg hip extension earlier, but do some higher rep, slightly more dynamic. I mean, that was obviously incredibly slow. This isn't going to be dynamic, it's still going to be controlled, just because again, I'm attempting to kind of leverage that opportunity at the moment. And then I'm actually going to do some single leg calf work. Unbelievably light. I'm sitting down on the bench, I'll show you in a second, but hardly any resistance. Effectively, all I want to do is articulate the joint as slowly as I can, but as full range as I can, which again is something that's been recommended. Hypers to start, let's go.
This is my time, I'm on the rise, can't hold me down, I'm too fly. This is my time, ready to shine, brighter than all of the lights, cause when it's game time, seconds away and the game's on the line, there ain't no doubt in my mind, beating the buzzer like, this is my time, this is my moment, you better bet that I'm on it. Ready and set, I'ma own it. Blast it to 10, then keep going. There ain't no coasting, I never settle, don't play. Putting the kettle to flame. I go 100 all day. Foot on the pedal, no brakes. 10, 9, paid all my dues, waited in line. 8, 7, now it's about time that I take mine. 6, 5, king of the jungle, heart of a lion. 4, 3, 2, 1, watch out.
Separating my emotional reaction from my behavioural response to a situation. That is what I endeavour to do. I'm not as good at it or proficient at it as I would like to think. I heard something really interesting recently on a podcast, and it was talking about patience. And the guy said, you can't fake patience. If you feel urgency and you feel frustration and you're annoyed at the fact that you feel the inclination to wait, but you still behave patiently, that is patience. That's what I meant when I said earlier, guys. I'm not trying to invalidate your feelings. I'm not expecting anyone to not feel frustrated or pissed off if they're in this situation. I feel frustrated and pissed off. I'm not going to act impatiently and recklessly and petulantly. I'm going to behave in a way that I believe is more in line with the man that I want to be, regardless of the internal state emotionally, which is full of impatience and frustration and petulance. So separating your emotional reaction from your behavioral response, something I encourage us all to do, including myself. All 3 sections done, 3 rounds of that final little bit. That's basically me done. Again, short and sharp, but it is better than nothing. And I don't want to be someone who stares into the face of turbulence and decides to just flip and chuck the towel in, or you know, use it as an excuse to not really do anything. So again, optimism is a choice, and try and detach and separate emotional reaction, behavioral response. They're 2 very different things. I don't want to invalidate anyone's feelings because I'm giving myself the gift of allowing myself to be frustrated with this, but I'm not going to behave as though I'm frustrated because that is just unproductive. I will vent, I'll be annoyed a little bit, but I won't be caught in a holding pattern of self-pity and feeling sorry for myself. I'm going to allow myself to feel pissed off for a second, but then practice the skill set of looking at these things through a lens of optimism and through a lens of rational positivity. And it is a fucking skill. It's susceptible to training. It's susceptible to practice. That's what I've been attempting to do, and that is what I encourage all of you guys to do. So if you did enjoy this video, please do smash that like button. Smash it for both me and Ben. Wave, Ben. There he is. What a handsome devil. If you have not yet done so, please do subscribe. Any questions or requests or suggestions on anything, please put it down in the comment section below. And as always, guys, stay strong, stay healthy, stay awesome. And I'll see you in the next video.